This is a stimulus update and daily news report. Got some important updates to share with you. President Biden signs the big bill with only 11 hours to spare, and President Biden's student loan forgiveness may not happen at all, as 7 GOP states are suing President Biden, and this could put the whole stimulus plan into shambles. Speaking of stimulus, $400 stimulus checks going out in one state with applications available. $325 checks are going to be available in November, and gas stimulus checks are being sent out October 7th. It'll give you some other important updates as well. Hope you're having a wonderful weekend. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below and subscribe to the channel. It's free to do so if you want to get to these videos on a regular basis where I show you the news sources and get straight to the point. Also, I never made it to New York this weekend because of the hurricane and didn't get to go to my friend's wedding. So here in Myrtle Beach, and my prayers go out to everybody who was affected by the hurricane. All right, let's get into it. So Biden signs spending bill that averts government shutdown with 11 hours to spare. So I find it really interesting that when Congress is on the line, especially during a midterm election, they get things done really quick. I think it might have been Thursday, Friday, and Saturday that they were able to have the Senate Senate vote, House vote, and President Biden sign off on it. With few hours to spare, it's been worse in the past, but if only they had that same sense of urgency to send stimulus checks to the American people with the hundreds of billions of dollars that is still left in a bank account, that the president could just say, hey, here's the stimulus check for maybe $1,400. I think it could even go up a little higher, up to $2,000, with about $600 billion in that stimulus funds account. Should the government and President Biden send that money as stimulus checks to the American people? Let me know your thoughts on that. When it comes to other types of stimulus, so 7 GOP states sue Biden over student loan forgiveness plans. So this was a big promise made by President Biden, made the announcement, and as soon as that came out, looks like Nebraska, Arkansas, Missouri, Iowa, Kansas, and South Carolina were the first to allege the Biden administration overstepped its executive powers in going forward with the program. So when it comes to student loan forgiveness, it's still in jeopardy. It may not actually happen. This would affect 43 million Americans who have student loans. Let me know your thoughts. Do you have student loans? Should this go through? Should the GOP, do you think the GOP will be successful in suing and stopping student loan forgiveness? Well, in response, Biden says we can afford student debt forgiveness after GOP lawsuit. So I guess the lawsuit is going on right now. I'm not sure how long this will take, but what President Biden said is we can afford to cancel $10,000 in student debt and $20,000 if you had Pell Grant for Americans making under $125,000. I don't want to hear a word from those members of Congress, you notice, whose families got tens of thousands of dollars and several $1 million in pandemic relief loan forgiveness. Same ones criticizing, give me a break, come on. So that's what President Biden has to say about it. But here is the GOP perspective on why student loan forgiveness shouldn't happen and why they're suing.
All right. Even though there's a great deal of controversy right now about the president's plan, the executive order to forgive up to 40 million American students and former students' debt by up to $20,000 each. They're actually looking at making that even bigger. Elizabeth Warren is leading a charge right now to have all of their debt forgiven and free and clear to claim bankruptcy in the process via the federal government. But I digress. That latter one is a Herculean leap, to put it mildly. But my next guest is among 7 states right now suing over this and saying that, A, the president can't do it, and it's a leap that he's even considering doing it. Leslie Rutledge is the Arkansas Attorney General, kind enough to join us now. Thank you very much, Attorney General, for joining us. You're arguing on the basis of the fact that the president legally can't do this and constitutionally can't do it, right?
Well, that's right, Neil. The president does not have the authority to arbitrarily sign an executive order wiping out this loan debt taken on by adults voluntarily. These were all adults who chose to take on this debt, and he is instead wanting to cater to his liberal left base and the elites who have these high-dollar degrees from Ivy League schools and put that debt on the backs of working Americans, our plumbers, our electricians. So that's why we filed this lawsuit. It's against the law. It's a violation of the Administrative Procedures Act, a separation of powers. All of this comes into play with a president who time and time again overreaches the authority he has as president.
So the difference here, I know presidents can alter a timetable or stagger the release of funds or restructured loans and all of that when it comes to corporations or the bailout of Chrysler. But this is a different beast, right? I mean, this is something that the president alone is deciding he's going to wipe away. And you're worried about precedent. Could you explain that?
Well, sure. The president is essentially wanting to put $400 to $600 billion worth of debt onto future generations for the next 20 to 30 years using the HEROES Act, which was put in place during the Iraq War to provide relief for our service members, our brave members of the military, so they could have relief. And it says, or in the circumstances of a national emergency. Well, perhaps President Biden forgot that he said the pandemic was over just a month or two ago. The president declared the pandemic over, yet he wants to use something such as the HEROES Act designed to offer assistance to our brave men and women in the military for, again, these college-educated elite who now are not willing or able to pay back those college loans.
You know, I'm not a lawyer, but I think I qualify because I watched a number of legal shows, so I'm right up there with you, Attorney General. But here's what I want to ask you. I suspect, and again, you're the expert here, that maybe the president knows he's in legal kind of slippery ground here, but that this will be challenged in court, and maybe your very suit, along with 6 others, will stop it. But by then, the monies have been dispensed, the loans have been forgiven, and how we claw that back is anyone's guess. Do you think that's his intent, that he knows he can't do this, but he's going to do it, be reversed in court, and figure out the details later?
Well, I gave up a long time ago, Neil, trying to figure out what this president is thinking, and I think many Americans have. But what we do know is that
if that
we're
happens, you can't unclaw it back, can you?
We expect that this loan forgiveness cancellation program of his was set to go into effect as early as this coming week, and that's why we went ahead and filed this lawsuit. We're going to be asking for that injunction to stop it from moving forward. We're asking the court, the Eastern District of Missouri, the federal courts, to stop this loan cancellation program from moving forward because it is beyond the scope of the president's authority. Even Nancy Pelosi, and I agree on this issue, she said, our Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, even said the president does not have the authority to do this. And for once, I agree
Well, she
with
said
Speaker
that
Nancy
earlier
Pelosi.
before then when he wanted to push this through, conveniently forgetting that statement she made. And I'm told politically, I know this goes outside you're a lawyer and a very good attorney general, that this is popular with the president's base and Democrats' base. And whatever you say about people who aren't keen on it and feel that they've been left out or worse, are paying for something that they're not getting, it will bring Democrats to the polls. What do you make of that?
Well, never should we make a decision just to bring people to the polls. This is bad public policy.
Well,
it's against the law.
Right?
If we want to do
the
well, it has. They need to take that to Congress and not violate the law. And quite frankly, when you're putting a tax burden on all other Arkansans and Americans that didn't take out those loans, and you're putting that burden back onto hardworking Americans, that should be bad political policy. So I don't know who they're catering to, but they're catering to the wrong folks. I want to make sure that we're taking care of all Arkansans and all Americans, and adding more financial burden on them in the height of this inflation is the wrong direction.
All right, Attorney General, keep us posted. Leslie Rutledge, the Arkansas Attorney General, joining us out of Little Rock.
So after hearing that argument, are you for or against student loan forgiveness happening? Should the GOP state sue? Do they have the right to do that? Let me know your thoughts on that. So next up, gas stimulus checks. Who will get these direct payments on October 7th? So this is going on in California with the $350 checks, and it could be as high as $1,050 checks So yeah, this is October 7th. These checks are going to be sent out via direct deposit, and they're going to go out with paper checks and direct deposits as late as January of 2023. And then here we have relief checks worth at least $400 available to more than 1 million Americans. See the exact dates to apply. So this is going on in New Mexico. Human Services Department has launched applications for residents to claim their cash. It is available for low-income New Mexicans thanks to legislature for approving $10 million worth of relief. So yeah, basically the way it works is you give your first name, last name, address, a bank account, and routing numbers. And then, I guess you could apply October 26th until October 7th to get these $400 checks in New Mexico. And then here, residents of Indiana to receive tax refunds worth up to $325 by November. So in November, all payments should be sent out, delivered before November 1st. And this is 2 automatic tax refund payments of up to $325 going out in the state of Indiana. And they're saying everything should be done and sent off by November 1st. So people will either receive $325 or $650 if they file jointly in a check. So that's going on in Indiana, and that is all the news that I have for you today to hopefully brighten your day a bit. Here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, this is Belle. This is the tip of the day. I want to tell you the one thing that you should do. When there's trees, you should think of going outside because there's no air inside unless you have plants. But anyways, there's still air. But outside there's more air for you because the trees help you breathe. So you don't really want to cut down trees.
Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate your support. So yeah, my flight got canceled on Friday morning when I was supposed to go, and we had the power go out. Nothing too major here in terms of damage. We actually walked around in the streets. We were kind of clearing up the debris from the street gutter, or the street sewage or lines or whatever it is, wherever the storm drainage. And so no big damage, but yeah, flights got canceled. Didn't get to make it to my friend's wedding, and we've been friends since we were 6 years old, so kind of bummed about that. But yeah, he had a good wedding, so Anyways, hopefully you have a great rest of your weekend. If you want to check out any of my other videos on my other channels, click right up here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.